Hello, Cal Blacksmith here again. Welcome to my shop. Today we're going to go over the best, least expensive, and easiest anvil you can make for yourself in your shop. I have students all the time that are asking, what do I need to do? How do I go about this? And this video has been prompted because I had one student that was afraid to ask questions and they blew a lot of money on something that I'll tell you about here in a moment. However, what tools do I have here? I have oxyacetylene cutting torch, I've got a side grinder, I've got an arc welder, I've got hard plate, I've got a block of steel, I've got a piece of railroad track, and I've got a fire extinguisher. So let's start here by getting rid of the tools that we really don't need to accomplish this project. These are all things that you normally see in videos for how to make your own anvil at home. I have talked to several of the people on YouTube. I've left comments and I'm generally told, you're full of crap, you don't know what you're talking about. Those that know do, those that don't, sit by on their couch and make nasty comments. So this is my answer to them. You guys really don't know what you're doing, you don't have a clue, and you're just being defensive when constructive criticism was offered. So let's start by removing the pieces that we don't need for this project. First to go, cutting torch. All right, next up, what do we need to get rid of? Let's get rid of this arc welder. We don't need that either. All right, so left on the table, we still have a block of steel, we got railroad track, we've got our side grinder, and we got some hard plate. Well, I got rid of the arc welder and I got rid of the cutting torch, so let's get rid of this hard plate. All right, that leaves just a couple of components left. What do we need here? Well, we don't need this piece of rail. Don't need it. We have a block of steel. There you go. And let's take a measurement on that and see how big this is. We're 3 3/8 by 8 3/4 by 11 3/8. Close enough. That's all we really need. Just a block of steel. Let's see how much this thing weighs. There's our steel on a scale. What's that scale reading? Right at 100 pounds. That's a good thing. Right at 100 pounds. So let's go back over here and I'll use the whiteboard and explain a few things. So what I've drawn here is a representation of a typical modern anvil. It's not necessarily the best shape or the only shape of an anvil that you can use, but it is what most people associate as an anvil. So when people try to make their own home anvils, this is the shape that they try to replicate. That's entirely unnecessary. What you've got going on here is the red section. This is your base. This is often wrought, sometimes cast iron, but most often wrought. It's never made out of hard metal. Your base in the white here, or your body, is made from either hardened tools or hardened bowl tool steel, or it's made from again, wrought iron. And on the old anvils where the body would be wrought iron, you have the blue section, which is your hard plate, which has been welded on to give more durability to your hammering surface. Not all anvils need a hard plate. Not all metal is as soft as the wrought iron body that's normally made. The last American anvils that were made in two pieces. They did not have a hard plate. They had only a all-tool steel body that was forged to shape and welded across the middle with an arc weld, and that is a completely solid weld. There is no air gap in the middle. They V-groove it out and weld it all the way around it. The reason you don't want any airspace in the middle is then that space acts like a spring and it stops the flow of energy through the anvil. This is a common fault in a lot of anvils that people try to make. I saw one that somebody had made that looked beautiful on the outside. They put in a lot of time, a lot of energy. They arc welded a hard plate to the top, but they only welded it around the top edge. They did not fully weld it like the old anvils are done, where it's a forge weld and it's completely welded into one solid piece. When you have that space in between, it acts like a spring. It stops the energy flow through the anvil, and you're not getting what you're paying for in an anvil. That anvil that gentleman made, that he spent so much time on, that he was so proud of, would instantly be rejected by any working blacksmith because of that gap, because of the amount of energy that would suck up from your work that you're doing every day. And though beautiful, it was basically a doorstop. It was more tactful when I left the message. We didn't want to do it. Live and learn. Anyway, where on the anvil are you going to do most of your work? Well, it may surprise people to know that most of your work is done right here through the center. This is the section where you work. You don't work out this way. You don't work on the heel. So really, all you need is as much material as to make up this body of the anvil. Now, earlier I showed you that block of steel that weighed 100 pounds, and that would be the equivalent of maybe 160 or 180 pound anvil in this shape with the amount of work that it can actually do. So get your head out of, I have to make it look like an anvil that's modern and recognizable, because you're going to spend a whole lot of energy and you're really not going to get any return for it. Now I'm going to show you what happens when people take a piece of rail. You noticed I had a piece of rail there that I just threw on the ground. That's the last piece of material you want to be turning into anything that's going to be used in the shop like an anvil. People like it because they can cut it, they can shape it. It sort of looks like this shape, a modern anvil. A waste of time, because what they get in the center is if you turn that on edge, you turn it, if you're looking at it the way the train would run, this piece here in the middle, this is a giant spring. Though you may be solid this direction, it's going to vibrate side to side and you're losing all your energy. So you're going to take all that time, all that effort, the gas, the cutting wheels, everything else, you're going to make this into something that looks sort of like that, and you're going to have a piece of junk. It's just not going to do any work for you. There is a way to use rail as an anvil, not a great anvil, but it's better than what people try to do. And that is to take this piece, and instead of cutting the side out to look like this, you want to take that and run it this way, so that this head is right here, and then your flange that you would put on the ground is back over here. You would then hammer on this little piece. This then becomes your anvil right there. That's your working surface. It's not big, but if you aim your hammer blows properly, you're going to get a lot of work done. Certainly a lot more work than if you turn this piece of rail into something that sort of looks like that. So really, all you need to do is to get yourself a block of steel. Modern steel, wonderful. It's better than the stuff that they had for centuries that we had anvils from. It's harder than the material that people used for anvils for centuries. Get yourself a block of steel. The shape doesn't matter. I have a piece of rectangle there. You can do it with round. If you had oval, whatever the shape is, the idea is you need mass under the hammer. That's the reason this works, is because it's mass under your hammer. Your hammer is going to go right here. With your hand. That's all you need, right there. Just enough to fill the space of your hammer. That's all that you need to work with. So when you think of it that way, you can use this as an anvil up on you, because you still have the mass underneath it. There you go. Take yourself a piece of metal that you get. Typically about 100 pounds is perfect, most ideal for a small shot. Take the surface, side grinder, smooth it off, put a little radius on the corners of your surface, and you're done. And that's all it is. So the next part of this video, I'm just going to take and real quickly go through part of setting up that block to be used as an anvil. It's not complicated, guys. It's really easy, and you're going to get a lot better return for your hammer energy into a solid block like that than you're going to get into anything that looks like rail. And by the way, the student that I had that wasted money, he bought on eBay with, oh Lord, please, that's the most expensive place to buy anything. I know it's easy, but it's the most expensive place. A piece of rail that he's having shipped cross country. He's spending hundreds of dollars on something that he could have bought at a materials yard, a steel yard, for $50. Look in your yellow pages, find steel yards, call them up. You don't need to drive all over town and back. All you need to do is call them up and go, do you have cut-off remnants? I'm looking for a piece of approximately this size. Mild steel is wonderful. Yes, it will dent more than a hard plate will if you miss your work and you strike the anvil. But you made the anvil in the first place. The side grinder is your friend. You can smooth it right back off and continue to work until you can get yourself hooked into something that's maybe a little bit more permanent here. There's nothing wrong with using an anvil like what I just showed you. So I'm going to stop the video now. I'm going to turn things around, we'll go back over to the bench, and I will just take a few minutes, probably on fast forward for you so that it doesn't take too long, and show you just kind of what you need to do to get this anvil developed for you at home. Okay, we're back over at the workbench, and I'll pull you in here and I'll show you what we're starting with. This was flame cut, just like it came from the steel mill. They did a pretty good job. It's relatively smooth, so there's not going to be a lot of work that I need to do to this. I'm using a side grinder, 4.5 inch. It's got a about 120 grit flap wheel on it. I could use a hard grinding wheel if I had a lot of work to do, but I really don't have a lot. All I need to do is clean this top surface up. So I'll bring you in here, let you see what we're starting with, and then I will proceed to turn this into something that we can use as an anvil. Okay, you can see that it's relatively smooth. There's not a lot of big gouges on it. I've got a couple little dings on the corners that I need to clean up and take care of, and just a little bit of cleanup on this top surface, and we will have a 100% serviceable anvil. Don't forget your safety glasses. A full face shield is wonderful if you have one. I'm not going to be doing very heavy work, so I'm just going to use my minimum or side shield safety glasses. It's pretty easy. Turn it on, lock it. Putting a little radius on this outside edge. I'm going to radius these side corners just a little bit, and then I will come back in and work on bringing. I'm only going to come in about this far, just so that you can see the process. I think I am going to switch to a grinding wheel. The cutting process, put a little bit of a case hardening on this surface here, and just to speed things up, I'm going to switch over to a hard grinding wheel, and then I'll finish with the flat wheel. And there you go. That's pretty much all you need to do. This is the surface that for blacksmithing, for forging on, is absolutely all you need to work with. I'll bring the camera back in and you can see. But honestly, guys, this is all you need to be working in a home shop. You really don't need all these gyrations people go through to convert rail and all that stuff. Simply just like this. That's all you need. Let me flip the camera around here and we will come in, take a look. All I've done is cleaned off any rough grooves that we started with, like that, polished them down. There's a few fine scratches. They're not going to hurt anything when it comes to your work. Not a bit. Okay guys, so that's it. It's really a simple way, the world's best, homemade, cheapest anvil that you can do. Not a difficult process. You're likely going to already have a 4-inch grinder. If you don't have one, go out and get one. They're very commonly used and very handy shop tool to have. A block of steel from the steel yard is all you need, around 100 pounds, rectangular, square, huge, piece of round shaft. It really doesn't matter. Radius the edges a little bit, grind the top smooth, put a little bit of polish on it, mount it onto a stump of some sort, and away you go. You really don't need anything more than that. So I hope this helps. I hope this takes some of the mystery out of it for some of the people that are just learning. Blacksmithing is a very rewarding, and it's a very easy to do process. It's been around for a long time. I've been moving metal since junior high in 1969. And if you can do this in the 7th grade, you can do it as an adult. It's really not complicated. You don't need to spend a ton of money on tools up front. You don't need things that people typically associate with being blacksmithing tools, such as a modern-looking anvil. In fact, colonial pattern anvils from the 1700s pretty much look exactly like what we just showed you how to make over here on the workbench. And quite honestly, they're a lot softer and they don't have the durability that the one that we just showed with a solid block of modern steel will give you. So there you go. Go out there and get it hot and get it hard. Tell blacksmiths how to do it.